Serious, when did you know you have a problem? Stepped on the scale and it had an error message. I've lost 60 pounds since July. God, that must have been a shameful experience. Good work on your weight loss. You've got this. Realizing I had started cutting my coffee with vodka in the mornings as a cure for the previous day's hangover is what did it for me. Rage issues. Bad when I was a kid. The single simple thing that made me realize that something had to change was waking up in the middle of the night from a dead sleep simply boiling with rage. I flipped over in bed and spent a good 10-15 minutes beating the heck out of my pillow and mattress. The reason this incident did the trick was because I couldn't pin it on anyone else. No one made me mad. I didn't even have a bad dream. Just rage. Out of nowhere. It was all me. Went outside for a smoke in a -40 blizzard. I could hardly argue that I was doing it because I enjoyed it. I did do the same in Australia. 40°C outside and I go out for a smoke because I enjoy it. I know quitting is hard, but I don't want to keep smoking. I intend to quit soon. It's not making me feel good and my lungs are taking a beating. When I would skip college courses and go sit on a bench in the woods for hours, I was too anxious to be around people and too depressed to do anything about it. Those winter nights with snow gently sweeping between pines and over a field of cattails were some of the most beautiful, depressing moments of my life. Not a soul for miles. Just me alone with my thoughts. Not sure what changed. This was 3 years ago. Life seems to find a way even while you're seemingly standing still. I'm quite happy now. That is a really cool comment. I'm glad to hear you're doing better. Sitting in a jail cell, being treated by EMS, pounding on the walls of the jail cell, then waiting 16 hours in said jail cell to be bonded out by my mom because I had ruined so many relationships that no one wanted to cough up a $100 to get me out. Sobriety is so much easier on everyone, not just me. Sobriety is so much easier on everyone, not just me. That's a great motivator to get better. When the message on my wife's phone said I can't wait to see you tonight and it was not for me. Well, I hope you no longer have that problem. When I realized my semi-frequent impulse to get up and just walk out of my life is basically a suicide you get to survive. Going through this right now. I don't want to kill myself. I don't want to die. I just want to walk away from everything and everyone, never to be seen by the people I know again, and start my life someplace else. Got a new job and skipped work 4 days in a row to get blackout drunk. In my car. In an empty parking lot. By myself. Didn't stop, but realized I had a problem. Baby steps, brother. Even if you aren't ready to quit, just make small steps till you are. When I got 2 weeks of 9+ hours of solid sleep a night and decent meals every day and was still utterly exhausted all day every day. I have a new doctor now and hopefully we can figure it out soon. Let me know what you find out because I'm in the same place. When I realized I had ruined my life, I was horribly addicted to H. My friends and family no longer wanted to be around me because I had changed so much and all I could think for every second of every day was H. I did things I never thought I would to obtain it and hurt everyone who ever cared about me. Luckily I realized what I did to my life and got help. Now 90 days clean. Keep up the good work, bud. When I realized that I could go weeks without needing to shower, which is odd for me since I'm a clean person, eat properly, talk to anyone or even leave my bed with the exception of bathroom and kitchen. When I got kicked out of college for the second time, when the only thoughts I had were that of suicide and how everything would be better off without me, when the thought of going outside made me sick to my stomach. Depression is a B and I'm still battling it. I don't know if it's getting better, but I goddamn know it's a problem. I've been to therapy lately and they suggested going to other therapy groups. To anyone who feels like they are slipping into depression, get help now. I waited too long and now I'm lost. When I moved in with my boyfriend and found myself absolutely screaming at him night after night for hours on end, over nothing, the look of sadness, panic, fear and doubt on this sweet harmless person is what finally made me realize I had an anger in me that could not be dealt with on my own. I sought professional help immediately. Almost a year and a half later and a lot of hard work, I am a much calmer person. I had the same realization after a similar situation with my boyfriend who is now my husband. He threatened to leave me if I didn't get help because he had to work at 7 AM and I had screamed at him and cried from 2 AM on over like a video game or some nonsense. Went to the doctor, got put on meds, and have control over my emotions now. It's amazing. Woke up in a hotel room. Knew I had just had a blackout, bleeding from the head. $200 to my name. Was still drunk. 54 days ago. I actually had a friend send me a text message. It was a screenshot of something I said to him. It was like, I am only gonna do this once. Gain 15 pounds and be done. Long story short, I am one of the biggest of all my friends now and spend nearly all my time and money looking at gear, talking about it, posting about it, and daydreaming of being in the gym. So yeah, I've been becoming more accepting, outspoken of my problem recently. If you have any issues with body image like me, stay the frick away from steroids and bodybuilding. I'm going to be cycling them for the rest of my life now and I will never be happy with where I'm at. I need them more and more after every cycle. They occupy my every thought. I can just never look good enough. I will always feel weak and small and ugly. I'm more reluctant now to take off my shirt than I was before. I looked like a Greek statue. I literally see a different person in the mirror than everyone else sees. Most of you can't really relate to the whole steroid thing, but the best way I can put it is to imagine feeling like a fat kid out swimming at summer camp where all the other boys are in good shape and staring at you. Steroids are obviously not addictive in and of themselves, but if you have that self-consciousness and feeling of being exposed and inadequate, then you get some temporary relief from something like steroids. It's over. Just like that, you will rely on that crap for the rest of your life, never feeling like you make any progress. You just raise your standards for yourself higher. Anyway, I'll quit ranting, but yeah, it's not something people think about and I'm probably one of the only people in the thread with this addiction, but I made this account to get crap like this out there, so forgive me for my rant. Love your bodies, guys. Looking better won't make your issues with yourself go away. It's literally like reverse anorexia, except you get scolded instead of support, and jail time fired if people find out about your gear. You don't have to do them for the rest of your life. You already acknowledge that you have a problem, which, as cliche as it is the best start. Get help, and you can fix this before you start suffering from the effects of long-term abuse. When I was going to type in another website name and typed in Reddit instead. Whenever I first started driving, I stress ate a frick ton. Drive-thrus were my go-to places when I was feeling down. Became addicted to fast food. I started becoming embarrassed at the food I would order, but one day, I ordered food at Taco Bell, hid it in my backseat, then went to order something at McDonald's. I didn't want the drive-thru employee to see I had already gotten food somewhere else. It didn't hit me until I got home how awful the problem became. As soon as I pulled into my garage, I threw both meals away and tried my best to start eating healthy. Thankfully it worked, and I stopped eating nothing but garbage. When I sat down and calculated the amount of money I spend on alcohol, I realized I could use that money for far better uses. I just checked what Mind is telling me I spend on booze, and it isn't pretty. I need to cut it in half to make it reasonable. When I pee the bed in my sleep and wet my pants during school at the age of 12 and had just dropped 30 pounds in under 2 months. I was also drinking gallons of water a day and sleeping all day after I got back from school. So I talked to my mom and she took me to the doctor, and it turns out I had diabetes. There was some person on here who told a story about dating a girl who liked golden showers. She begged this guy to pee in her mouth, and when he finally did, she told him his pee tasted sweet. He told a friend who then recommended he see a doctor. He ended up having diabetes too. My legs gave out under me. Found out it was because I was so malnourished. My body was trying to consume the muscle tissue in my calves for nutrients. When I realized how much crap I wasn't getting done because of wasted time. Procrastination is not an easy thing to quit, mate. When I actually contemplated suicide as being the only way out. Depression is horrible, man. When I describe what derealization, depersonalization feel like and people look at me like I'm crazy, or when I had a panic attack just because I realized I didn't have my watch on. Dude, depersonalization freaking blows. I've been dealing with it for 2.5 years now. It never goes away and I don't know how to fix it. I wish I had answers for us both. In a nutshell, Took and my mother, who was dying from COPD while taking care of her, also had 2 young children and a household to run. Began feeling sorry for myself, resentful and so dang tired. Learned to unwind with a glass of wine. It helped a bit. Became 2 glasses. On the back deck. Alone. In the dark. Then more. Only at night. I took care of all my obligations during the day and then rewarded myself for doing so at night. After a month or so, I found myself bustling the kids off to bed earlier so that I could get to my me time. When I caught myself praying in the middle of the day to just get through this so I could have my back deck wine, I realized that I could very well have been becoming an alcoholic. I suddenly understood that desperately looking forward to not the time alone, but that wine on the dark deck was most likely the beginning of a problem. I was struck by how innocently it started, how justified I felt enjoying it so much, how slowly but steadily wine became my crutch and my secret. To this day, I'm proud of myself for recognizing that this was getting out of hand and I would need to stop it. I can and do enjoy wine and mixed drinks, but I have rules now because I know that things could have turned out very differently. I drove drunk. Really drunk. I hit a curb and popped a tire, and was too drunk to figure out how to put the spare on. Eventually I figured out to call my insurance roadside assistance, and they came and put the spare on for me. I went to my first meeting the next day. The thought that keeps me sober now is, the only thing that separates me from people who have killed others by driving drunk is stupid, dumb luck. I am eternally grateful and eternally ashamed. The one time you can be grateful for hitting a curb, at least you didn't hit a person or another car. When I woke up from a 7-gram H-bender, after I had made a bowl of Cocoa Puffs, my front door explodes into splinters of wood and a SWAT team had rifles with laser sights pointed at my chest. Icing on the cake is my kittens I recently adopted literally thought it was a motherfricking game. 4 years clean and my cats still keep playing around. The image of cats playing with laser sights made me laugh a lot and I feel like a horrible person. When I stopped being intimate and taking showers with my boyfriend because I was afraid he'd see my bald spot from me picking my hair out, it was getting harder and harder to hide. It'd stress me out more so I'd pluck more. I'd tell my never again while ripping out strand after strand. Trichotillomania has no cure. That alone makes me feel helpless. When my girlfriend recoiled in fear when I stepped closer to her during an argument. Let me just say I have never hit or threatened to hit her, but I often lash out and throw things or hit objects when I get angry. Usually when I hit that stage it takes a lot to calm me down as well. I never thought I was that bad, but after I saw that I legitimately frightened the one girl I truly love, I knew I had to find a way to be calmer. I can say after about 6 months of work I am a much calmer person. I still have moments where I want to lash out and sometimes I do, but when I do it's usually just shouting and not hitting things. Not totally fixed, but it's a start. Some therapists actually teach people to hit inanimate objects when they are angry. You provide a good example as to why that is a horrible idea. I found out I had anxiety when I couldn't be in the same room as my family without feeling like my heart was trying to jump out of my chest. It was horrible. I'm past it now, which is good. There were days recently when after a night of getting really drunk where I'd swear to myself that I wasn't going to drink tonight at least, or maybe for a couple days. Then, sure enough, come the evening, I'd find myself drinking yet again. Then, it hit me. This is what they mean when they say powerless against alcohol. That was a very big wake up call. That kind of hit me like a lightning bolt. I haven't had a drink now for a couple weeks. Whenever I realized the truth could ruin my life if it came to light, it's a good rule of thumb to figure out what you're doing is super wrong, illegal, immoral, and that you have a problem that needs fixing. When I woke up in the hospital after a night of binge drinking with no recollection of previous night's events, I had hypokalemia, or low potassium, and almost died, apparently after drinking beer, playing flip cup and other drinking games. I challenge an Irish fellow to a game of no face. The purpose of this game is to chug a bottle of whiskey as long as you can without making a face afterwards. I chugged about half the bottle, and I'm told I made a face, so I lost. 5/10, would not recommend. When I realized it's 7:30 AM and I'm sat listening to David Bowie high as frick on a handful of oxycodone pills, drinking vodka out of a Tom and Jerry beaker, reading this thread looking for people worse off than me so I can pretend that I'm happy and everything will be okay. When he made fun of his stepmom who had cancer and said he was waiting for her to die, the insults, how little respect he had for me, his manipulation, it all should have tipped me off that I was in a bad relationship with a bad dude. But that was when I realized what an butthole I was with. When I picked a fight with a cop for nothing more than he looked vaguely like someone who I hated in high school. I've always had a problem with my anger, but I didn't really care until recently. When I was 24 I got diagnosed with something that ruined my life, but I guess woke me up to my behavior. I'm trying to control it, but that's easier said than done. Every day is rage from start to finish. I'm depressed. But because I'm angry all the time, all my energy is devoted to being 100% furious with every single person or thing around me until I sleep, and no matter how hard I try I can only divert that down to 99%. I realized I have a problem. I also realized I can't do anything about it. See a shrink. I went from sending 2 people to the hospital in a day because they looked at me wrong to someone who just doesn't get angry. First day of year 11 at school. Usually first days are really fun for me and go really well. This one, I couldn't sit in class without feeling ill and a sense of dread completely. Stopped eating in fear that my body wouldn't hold it. I have emetophobia. Luckily I'm doing much better now. I have my bad phases but usually it's good. Fellow Emma here. Stay strong. Mine works the same way. Huge fear of eating. When anxiety and avoidance caused me to fail all my classes and shun my friends. If I was hungry, I would feed my Sims. If I was thirsty, I would get my Sims water. I would hold my bladder rather than go to the bathroom 10 feet away. I went to bed making plans for my Sims for the next day. At the end I was playing 16-20 hours days for 3 months solid. Sims is really good though. When I realized that I should be sober at Thanksgiving, I didn't want what could have been the last time my grandmother saw me to be the hammered and staggering me that was around for most family functions. When I was cutting to get over the pain of the shame I felt because someone had seen scars from prior self-harm, I am better now. I may just be some stranger on the internet, but I'm proud of you. It makes me so sad when people are hurting themselves. Stay strong. There is always an alternative. When I was cutting myself twice a day and unable to stop, and would lock myself in my room and do that instead of participating in life at all. There is a happy ending to this. I've been self-harm free for 20 months. When I had a dream that I had died and then woke up and cried because it didn't actually happen. When I get home from my afternoon classes and grab a couple beers instead of food and having to convince myself drinking before classes is not cool. When I started to feel nothing, it was just like a numb feeling towards everything and everyone. That's when I knew something was wrong, but I just kept it to myself and let it grow and grow. Realizing I had called myself out of school for 2 weeks straight for no other reason than because I didn't want to go to school. It wasn't because I was getting bullied or I was mad at people or I was in trouble or I was depressed. I just didn't want to go. 1 day became 2 days. 2 days became a week. A week became 2 weeks. I only stopped when my friends called me asking where I had been for the last 2 weeks and to see if I was alright. That's when I realized I had a problem. I confessed and they forced me back in school and helped me catch up without any of my teachers or parents finding out what had really happened. Haven't ditched since. You've got some amazing friends, man. Hope they know that. When I had food in my hand and actually walked through the kitchen and grabbed more food and started eating it. Rare elephant strawberry like for good luck, ignore for 11 years of bad luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video.